Hey guys, welcome back to Release the Craftin. Priscilla here with a little witchy book review. Because I thought I was going to do more of these now that I have had like the epiphany on what I want to do for my channel. And I'm choosing to do the Green Witchcraft Grimoire by Amythyst Raine first for a number of reasons. The first being, this is in the stack of books that I have finished and just been sitting on, waiting to tell you guys for no reason. There's no reason I was waiting, but I was until this day. So I was like, you're in here, let's do this. Second reason, I'm doing a grimoire thing on my Patreon, so if you would like to grimoire with me and build an entire, like, witchy book throughout the course of this year, that's what we're doing. It's a whole thing. So you can jump over there. It's at the $10 level where you get access to the video and the stuff for this series. And then I wanted to update you guys because two people, not everybody, two people have asked if I would offer tarot readings as a reward on Patreon, and that is now a tier on its own. So you get the tarot readings plus everything else, including the Grimoire with Me series, on my Patreon. So the link for that is down below. You can check that out. That is all I'm going to say about it because we're going to jump into this. Because I decided, because I'm doing this series, we're launching it this month, that I would review a book that is a grimoire and talk about it. And I have some thoughts. I have some feelings. First of all, this is a lovely book. That is my first thought. On more than one front, it is an enjoyable read. It's very easy to read because it jumps right into it, and we'll get into that. But the other part is that this is just a really pretty book. Like, the aesthetics are right. It's got great artwork inside of it, and it's joined that category of witchy books that I wish I had when I first started because they're just aesthetically pleasing. The fonts, the color choices, the pages inside. I really wish that when I had started getting into witchcraft, the books looked like this, because a lot of them were just like textbooks and it was painful to get through. And I, like, you know, I'm a simple person. You put some colors, you put some fancy things in front of me, I'm gonna be invested. The second reason, or the first primary reason, which is now the secondary reason because I focused on the colors, why I like this book is because, you see this, we get a title page, we get dedication, we get a table of contents, we get an introduction. This is the entire introduction, because when you flip this page, you are immediately in the game. Immediately in the game. And it does not stop. There is never like a break in content or information through the entirety of the book until you get to the end, where you get to like a glossary and, you know, those kind of things, indexes, regular book stuff. So you get that in the very end, and there's never like a break. You get a couple paragraphs for a conclusion, and that's it. We're done. Whole book. Amazing. I wish more witchy books were like this. This is from, whatchamacallit, around Rockridge Press. Shout out to Rockridge Press for not obligating their authors to write 70 chapters of introduction on stuff we already all know and are familiar with. Because, look, that's so easy to read. And then you're in it. You're in it, and every section has like a table of contents for what you're going to do, so you can easily refer to the section, find what you're looking for, find exactly what page it's on, and then jump right there. So I love this. This was super easy to read because it's just spell after spell after spell. There's recipes in here, stuff like that, so you can very quickly devour this book if you're just looking to read it from cover to cover. You can also just use it as like a regular reference and come to the particular sections when you want to, which is also fantastic. So I love this book. It's well written. There's a lot of really cute ideas in here, and the reason that I was called to like talk about this book in particular is, like I said, we're doing the grimoire thing on Patreon, and this kind of book is a really good jumping off point if you do not know where to start your grimoire at. Like, if you need a template, this is a really good template for how to start a grimoire, because it literally goes from circle casting, which is essential, into like holiday driven sort of rituals and spell work. Ugh, that's a big section. And then it goes into like working with crystals and candles and those sort of things. So like if you're looking for like an easy template to follow, you don't have to like use the stuff in this book to do that. Like, as we have opened to the notes page, you could read this book, write your notes down, and then when you start working on your own witchy book, you can just follow that along and then use the notes that you've written here as like places to pick up for your own witchy like spell books. There's like, the other thing I really enjoy is that there are quick reference guides in here instead of like pages and pages and pages of like correspondences. It's like, here's some quick things, and then we're in it. We're in the sauce. And you're doing the stuff, and there's lots of things that you can work with. And then there's even a warning on what crystals you should not put in your dang body, which is so important because they don't go in your body. And then it just continues on. Like, you got your regular relevant information. Now we're back to making cool stuff, cool things to do. And then we're making teas, which is also cool. This is probably my favorite part. Tea making is my favorite thing. It's the favorite way I like to utilize like my herbs, is either making teas or witchy tinctures or spells and things like that. But teas is where I start all the time. And then, yeah, we're here. We're in recipes, we're in cakes, and we're cookies. And that's so fun. And I love that. This book is really fun. These recipes are really fun. I definitely like really enjoy the recipe portion of this book a lot. And then I really like this section because it has like all the rituals for like hand fastings, commitments, namings, like if you have a baby, like all these fun things, cakes and alas in here. And then there's a whole section on not just like getting rid of negativity, but dealing with grief and like the passing of a loved one, which is something I don't see very often in witchy books. They tend to sort of skirt around that or just sort of touch on it briefly and move on. And having like an entire ritual like in here as a reference to use for those sort of situations, which unfortunately come up more than we would care for them to, is just a really valuable resource and one of my favorite aspects about this book. It feels like it was very well thought out. And we have this cute little astrology section. Cute little astrology, like super cute little astrology section. So you get like the correspondences for all those. You get these really great pictures which help with like association. Also, like Scorpio's got a lot going on. That's typical. But I love that there's this like easy references. I'm a little like on the editor for this loss of space, but that's not on the author. That was a creative choice that they made. And then, you know, like I appreciate that every section comes with a space to write down some notes and ideas and things like that. I'm not going to do that because I don't need to. But if you are just starting out, that's an invaluable resource. Being able to have a space that you can hold in your book to keep next to the information, invaluable resource. And like I said, if you are looking at starting your own like magical book and you haven't, having a space to write down your ideas and then take that as like, you know, as a whole with your template is amazing. And then there's a whole section on like scrying and like a place to draw out your own sigils and keep those. And then there is like a little bit on tools for the witch and how to craft those with some little crafts that you can do to wrap it all up. And that's really cute. This is a really cute book and I really enjoyed it. Now on to the things that I did not enjoy as much with this book. I don't have negative feelings for this book like I have other books previously in the past. If you guys have seen my reviews on Den of the Wanderer, you know which books I'm talking about. I had some strong feelings for those. I don't have like really strong negative feelings on those. The things that like threw me when it came to this book were the amount of things that you need. And as a person who has been practicing for quite a while, I have an extensive assortment of like stuff that I have collected that I felt was like essential to do magic. And now at this stage in my life, I'm like, I can and I could, but I don't because it's not necessary to do the magic things. And I will say, looking at this like retrospectively from like seasoned witch to newbie baby witch, this kind of stuff was a deterrent when it came to like actually making magic. Seeing all the things I needed to do the magical spells that I wanted to do really threw me off because if I didn't have the money to do it, I couldn't do the spell, which is shenanigans. You absolutely can. You do not need any of this stuff. It's all magical trapping. And just dressing up your spells to get you in the right head frame. You do not need those things to get in the right head frame because you can do it with a will in a way, right? So, like, the biggest thing that threw me was I thought it was really cool that we started out, like, with circle casting as, like, the foundation going forward. But then what killed me was that you needed a broom, you needed candles, you need salt, you need some kind of incense, matches, and a lighter. So, like, those are together. That makes sense. And really, you can cast a circle with nothing. But you can use your finger and draw out your circle in your mind with your finger. If you need that kind of like visual representation, you can just do it in your brain. You don't need any of this stuff. So I was like, okay, interesting. And this is like in the traditional, like, draw a circle of salt and, you know, use the incense to cleanse your space, light a candle for each of the quarters. It's very, very Wiccan. There's nothing wrong with that. Just be aware that that is this, like, the foundation of this type of circle casting. And none of that is essential, even if you are Wiccan, to cast a circle. So that really threw me. Then what, like, redeemed it was that the actual, like, casting of a circle, she gives, like, a really nice spell to open and close. And those are very legitimate, very nice, really easy to work with type of things. But then there's more circle castings, and they get progressively more complicated, because for this one, this elemental one, you need a broom, 4 candles in the specific colors of the elements, 4 stones, 1 to represent each element, and then the incense and the way to light your incense. And the incense in particular is sandalwood, and I don't know if you guys know this, sandalwood is not cheap or easy to come by. So most sandalwood incense you get tends to be synthetic. If you get genuine sandalwood incense, it's usually mixed with something else, because sandalwood is not cheap and it's not easy to come by. It's also not abundant. So, like, that's one of those things to be, like, a little bit mindful of when you're grabbing up all your little goodies. But I will say, if you have the ability to access just, like, a sandalwood stick, I get them in little tiny bundles. This is more valuable to me than a whole stick of incense. It's also a little bit more cost effective than trying to find sandalwood, like, incense that's, like, pure. And you don't need to light it for as long. It works just like a Palo Santo wood smudge thing, smoke cleansing stuff. You know the words that I'm saying. It works just like that, as opposed to an incense. But you don't actually need incense to cast a circle. And so, like, that was, like, that's my biggest critique, is that all of these things require lots of stuff, which if you are not, like, financially flush or have the means or the access to, that can be really discouraging. And it's a little bit sad to me that there are 4 different ways to open, like, a circle, how to cast a circle, and they all require stuff, like tangible things that you have to use and then discard afterwards. Like, that's where, like, the sustainability of this practice sort of, like, chews away at me, like, gnaws away at my brain a little bit. Because even, like, casting with a wand or an athame, you don't need to, you don't need all this stuff. The other thing is the choice to continue using the term smudge, which, you know, we're smoke cleansing. Smudging is a closed practice. I know that some people are, like, tomato about it, but I have strong feelings on that, and I feel like it's something we can just let go of, the term, even though clearly it just came straight to my brain when I'm trying to explain things, so I haven't really, like, completely disconnected that idea in my brain. But we smoke cleanse now. That's what we do. So that's not, like, a big thing. It's just one of those things where I went, while reading, and not the best thing. And you'll see, like, that's sort of the setup for a lot of this. So, like, for this winter, like, spell, you need 3 red, 3 green candles. You don't need that stuff. You can have that stuff. It's nice to have. It's definitely fun. It's a waste of stuff if you're by yourself, because that's a lot of candles to just set up and light and then do a simple little spell. It's only this long, and then put away until you need them again. So, like, I understand this from a perspective of somebody who has these things, so I could easily do this stuff. It's not, like, a detractor for me. If I wanted to do it, I can get all the trappings out and do it. It's also very, like, inching towards the ceremonial magic, where you need all the dressing before you can do that thing, and that's an entirely different ballpark of, like, magical practice than I'm invested in, because I usually just clap all the ghosts out of my house. That's free. But I have the things to do the things. If I wanted to have, like, a full cleansing ritual, I could. But I'm looking at this from the perspective of somebody who now has all the things, but at one point in time did not have all the things. And seeing lists like these would stop me from doing the things, because I might have been able to obtain, like, the candles, but then getting the essential oil would have wrecked me, because essential oil is not cheap. And, like, finding a table, totally sure. Yeah, totally. I could probably find, like, a cheap tumble at my local witchy store. But I did not grow up in a place that had a local witchy store. This is, like, after I went out into the world. Then I finally had a local witchy store. So if you live in a small town, you might not have a local witchy store. Now you gotta hunt. And that's a little bit ineffective to track down one little stone for one little spell. And then, I might have been able to find the herbs because they're seasonal, right? So, like, since this is winter and it was Christmas time, I probably would be able to find these. They would not be cheap. Again, and like all of this before you even get to the incense. Like the cup of cocoa is super cute, which is optional, which is probably the cheapest thing on this list and doesn't make any sense to me. And then, you know, a fireproof receptacle can be anything. So like, that's not something that's like hard to come across, but like all these little things start to add up and then they become like obstacles into doing magic, because now I need to have all the things to do the thing, and you don't need to do that. You could literally forego everything, not the cocoa, like treat yourself, and the pen and paper and something you can burn it in, and boom, you're done. Get like one of your favorite candles. You have candles. They don't have to be a specific color. They don't have to be anything. And if you need them, like if you need the trappings in order to devise the spell work, you can make that happen with anything you have on hand. So if you only have white little tiny like tea light candles, great. Get like some stickers from the Dollar Tree, put some little holly leaf stickers on the outside. Now you have appropriately colored candles for the season. It's a little bit witchier, a little bit more connected to the thing that you're trying to connect to, right? So like there are ways around those things, definitely, for sure. And I had to learn that as a baby witch. I now know that as an adult. So like to me, I just look at these as like quick references and I'm like, okay, I want to make this, but I don't have almond oil. I have olive oil. I'll just fucking do whatever I got. I have all of these herbs, because I have a stupid amount of herbs. But like I don't have an iron nail just sitting around, but I have nails. It can be done. Like I can figure out how to put this together if I want to make this, because I have a collection of witchy things that I've collected over the years, and you know, I have the means to make it happen, or the means to work around stuff like that. But if you're just starting out, that can be really discouraging. It can be really hard to access. And so like I just wish more witchy books would offer alternatives to that like sort of concept. So like I'm not saying you can't have this stuff. Like this is the good stuff, right? Like that's where it gets juicy, that's where it gets witchy, that's where you want to be. But like, oh, this one is like super basic, right? Like you need a pen and paper, you need a basket, apparently a giant basket, some firewood to put into the basket, which I feel like the basket is not necessary. You just need to be able to carry your firewood. I don't remember what the spell is. I'm not going to read it to like figure out what the significance of the basket is. That's not important. I did just read that you light the whole thing on fire. That's why it's a wicker basket. So like maybe, or you could just have the fire in a fireplace or like a fire space where you are able to have fire. But that's fairly straightforward for a ritual. It's fairly easy and accessible. Like you can get wood and burn it. Even if you don't get like a whole bushel of firewood, you can still make that happen somehow. So like that's okay. But I just wish like more witchy books were like, here, you need this list of things, but you can also do this simply if you aren't able to with just a pen and paper, just, you know, a lighter and a match, you know, those kind of things. I wish more stuff would happen like that, because I feel like, and this might just be like a personal feeling. It is a personal feeling. It's not mine. It is a personal feeling. Like, that can be very discouraging, especially if you're starting out and you don't know where to go, because you look at this and you're like, well, I can't do any of these things because I don't have these things. And that's not true. It's very possible. All that to say, I do like this book. That was a very rambly, personal soapbox tirade on an issue that is not like contingent on my enjoyment of this book. Like this book did not take away from my enjoyment with the fact that it had a bunch of stuff in its spell work. I do enjoy the book. I think it's really cute. And I also think, like I said, it's a really good template if you are looking to start your own witchy book and you don't really know where to go, or you need like more guidance on how to fill it out, or like things that you could do. This is a really good jumping off point for that. Like I said, it's also a very cute book, something I enjoy having and will definitely refer back to when I need inspiration for stuff. So that's what I think about the Green Witchcraft Grimoire by Amythyst Raine. Let me know if you guys have read this book, or if you read anything similar to this in the comments below, and what do you think about this book, if you have read it, or if you are thinking about reading it. This book has been out for a couple years now, because like I said, I've been just sitting on it. So you guys have probably already read this if you are in the must read all the witchy books, consume the witchy information media space that I am in. You've probably already read it, so if you have, let me know what you think. If you haven't, let me know what you think. And I will love to discuss it with you guys in the comments below. But that's going to be it for me, you guys. If you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate your faces, and I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Until then, happy crafting. Bye.